All right, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? Once again, you're locked in the dungeon with me, Frank Red, coming after you after the Golden State Warriors game tonight. Another tough effort. This is loss number 5 in a row. The Warriors now have a record of 6-7 after getting off to a 6-2 start. Tonight they go down to the OKC Thunder, who improved to 8-4, 128-109, and it wasn't pretty. And you can't put lipstick on this pig; it's still not going to look good. But I came on tonight because I wanted to talk basketball and I wanted to talk about sports. Again, if you're looking for a show that's going to come on and have pom-poms in the background cheering when the team does well, and then go run and hide and bitch and moan when the team's not playing well, then that's not what I do. That's not what I want to do. I want to talk basketball. There's a reason for everything. And if you really know the game, it doesn't really matter the level. You don't have to be a Division I player or having played in the NBA literally you could coach kids. You coach your own kids and know the game extremely well. You could be a fan and know the game extremely well. That's not what this is about. But you got to take your emotion out of it, though. If you are a person who thinks that your life is turned upside down because a team loses and you can't see the forest for the trees, then this is not good. Then you're going to be in agony. And, you'll be like the callers that you hear driving home from work after the game. Delusional in many situations. And every now and then, you'll hear somebody who actually has something sensible and keen to say. Those are the people I'm looking for. Because things will turn around. To what extent? That's going to depend on health. It's going to depend on maybe players looking at themselves differently than they did in the past, humbling themselves, coaches getting out of their feelings and out of their way, and maybe coaching the game a little differently than they ever have before. That's the fun part. The fun part is to get back. When you're winning and everything is going well, it's fun for the fans and it's okay for the players, but I don't know if you really challenge yourself. I saw some signs tonight that I can say, okay, so I can see some sprinklings of improvement from the Golden State Warriors. You're not going to win many games when a top 5 player, Stephen Curry, is not playing on your team. Or a guy like Draymond Green, who you can say what you want to say, but the guy is a basketball savant. And he matters. And he impacts winning. Klay Thompson, I think at this stage of his career and at this moment, really needs to reevaluate how he sees himself as a basketball player, because he's not the same. And that's okay. When I think of Klay, I think of 2 things. I think of Ray Allen, Hall of Famer, who was able to make just a beautiful transition to being a 6th man. And even as a starter, as opposed to being a number 1 or a number 2 option, he became a number 3, number 4 option, number 5 option at times, as a member of the Boston Celtics en route to win the championship. And it was just beautiful basketball. And then he surprised the world by going down to Miami and maybe being the 7th or 8th man, but still contributing to success. This is a guy who was a Hall of Famer, averaged 27 points a game for probably 10 years. Similar to Klay Thompson. Although he was a better all-around basketball player than Klay. I don't think he's a better shooter, but he was a better all-around player. at his best. I think he was. Klay Thompson needs to, again, take another look at who he is as a player. And I think that can be a building block for him to start to contribute in ways that I think are meaningful. Because right now, he just looks bad. I mean, if Stephen Curry's not in the lineup, Klay's going to be in the scouting report. They were hovering all over him. I don't think he might have had 1 or 2 or 3 good looks tonight. Every other shot was contested. He was 1 for 10 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Pretty tough. So we can talk about that. I also want to talk about Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins for the season is 5 for 37 from 3. And yet, if he feels that he's open, he's just jacking 3. That's a turnover. And there's a lot of irony there because people can bash Andrew Wiggins for how he's playing offensively. You might say that he's not always engaged, but I have to give the guy credit. Over the past 5 games or so, I think he's played with intensity on defense, and he's rebounded. Hasn't always played smart. I question his basketball IQ. I do. And I've questioned his basketball IQ myself since I watched him at Kansas. Doesn't mean that he's unintelligent, because he's not unintelligent. But he's not a guy who makes a lot of smart plays. And you think of smart plays, you think of offense and assists, and that's really not what it's about. I'm talking basketball plays. If you're shooting 5 for 37, and it's not like 2 or 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and you're as athletic as he is, get to the mid-range. Get to the basket. Didn't see that tonight. That disappointed me because, I'm not ready to bury this guy. But I think he did some things that can constitute winning basketball. But offensively, he's just a mess right now. So I want to talk about that. I want to have an honest conversation about all of these guys. I want to say this also. I love listening to Chris Mullin talk basketball. And it's not a New York thing. Although Mully was an idol to a lot of us coming up. But Mully understands basketball so well. He's a Hall of Famer. And Mully knows how to be critical without being disrespectful. I don't believe in being disrespectful. But I believe in telling the truth. And that's what we're going to do tonight. All right? We're talking about the Golden State Warriors lost tonight. They lose for the 5th straight time, I believe. 5th straight time. 128-109. And it was close midway in the 3rd quarter. They battled, and then the game got away from them. All right? This is what my man Andrew the Goat has to say. He says, put my glasses on, bro. I really hope the Warriors can turn it around. Yeah, but what does hope look like, Andrew? What does hope look like? Because playing the way they played tonight, that's not going to do it. Now, in my notes, I wrote, if Stephen Curry doesn't play on Saturday night, I don't see how they can win. And I don't know if that has anything to do with talent. I'm sorry, playing the right way. I think it's just a talent thing. I think OKC has so much talent that if they don't have the juice of a Stephen Curry, I don't know if they can win. If they play their best basketball. Because, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was 6 for 27 tonight. He had a horrible game. He's not going to have a horrible game on Saturday. He's just not. So the Warriors need Stephen Curry back in a bad way, and we'll see. A couple of things that I want to highlight: Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. I sent out a tweet today saying that the kryptonite to injuries and politics. I said injuries are the kryptonite to politics. And what I meant by that was I knew that Moses and Kuminga would both get more opportunities tonight. And by and large, they play pretty good basketball. Jonathan Kuminga is developing into a solid rotation player. His basketball IQ, again, is not the highest. He's still learning the game. But he's making a lot of positive plays on a nightly basis. And I get upset when I see him on the bench now and he's not playing at least 25 minutes a game. I don't get it. Had 21 points tonight. I believe 8 for 13. Now, he had 4 turnovers. And he was minus 11 and plus minus, but sometimes that doesn't tell the whole story. Jonathan Kuminga is developing. I thought he was a bright spot tonight. So, and I'm not so sure that if Draymond was healthy, Jonathan would have got the minutes that he got tonight. And that's upsetting to me. That's not the issue. The Warriors leave the shooters open because they know they're not a good shooter. They did that again tonight. No, they think they're not a good shooter. They are good shooters. And I'm going to talk, listen, Andrew, I'm going to get into that because I was sick watching that. Watching professional players making millions of dollars wide open, actually making shots. That's what they do. That's their job. I said it before the last time I was on air. The Warriors' rotation is trash. And I don't know who their quote defensive coordinator is, but they haven't been the same since Mike Brown went to Sacramento. Mark Gray says Clay needs to only work off the ball. He has a problem dribbling the ball. Yes. This just in. Clay's not a good ball handler. He's never been a good ball handler. He's never been a good passer. So, Mark, you're right. If he is not working off the ball, I started I got sidetracked a little bit, but the comparison I wanted to make with Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson did something that I didn't know he could do, and maybe he did. Russell Wilson came into this season 15 to 20 pounds lighter than he was last year. Let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. Oh, I'm in great shape. I'm working. No. Dude lost 20 pounds. Russell Wilson has not run the football as much as he has this year in 4 or 5 years. And that's been an integral part of his success, just being in better physical condition. Take out the tape against Clay when he was Game 6 Clay against OKC, and look at his body now. Totally different body type. He's much heavier than he was. And like Mark Graves said, I don't think he's going to turn back into vintage Clay, but if he's working off the ball, he's going to have more opportunities, he's going to have more energy, in spite of having the 2 serious leg injuries. He needs to get in better shape. I think he does. That's just me. Andrew says, Red, it really seems like you're talking about the Warriors defense is not that good. And that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, the defense is not that good. And I'm going to tell you why. Because effort alone does not equal success. Effort plus intelligence equals success on offense and defense. I don't remember the Warriors leaving this many guys open. Listen, and you can say, Red, you're biased. I am a little biased about the point I'm going to make. I coached Juan Toscano Anderson. I was on the coaching staff of a team that Juan Toscano Anderson played on multiple years in the Bay Area Pro-Am. Multiple years. Juan Toscano Anderson, in my opinion, should be on this team. The Warriors don't have a guy like Juan on the team. I'm watching the guy they just signed. I got nothing against him. Guy from Mexico. He's not ready to play. Listen, do you honestly think that if Juan Toscano Anderson was on Isaiah Joe, he would have went 7 for 7 from 3 with all those open shots? Have you seen Juan play? Come on. You can tell me that Juan can't throw the ball in the ocean at times. And I'll say, yeah, you're right. But that's not what they needed. They needed somebody to go out there and set the tone and be a defensive stopper. They don't have a defensive stopper with the IQ that Juan has. Therein lies the politics of professional sports. Well, Juan's plus minus is horrible. That doesn't have a damn thing to do with his ability to guard among the best in the NBA. That's what they needed. The game was in the balance tonight. In the third quarter, with like 3 or 4 minutes to go, it was a 4-point game. And the game got away from them. That pisses me off. That does. Because that's an organizational thing. That's an organizational thing. Knowing your personnel. It's embarrassing. Romo says, "How was your third evening, Frank?" Hell, man, I'm cool, man. Mark says, "At least GTA plays defense." Hell yeah, he plays defense. And Romo, what's up with you, brother? Thanks for checking in. Now we're talking basketball. We're talking basketball. You know, we're not talking fun ball where, you know, somebody takes the ball and goes in all the time. What did you do? Like I mean, you guys saw Brandon Podzinski. He made a couple of threes. They're down like 1,000 points, and he's giving a little 3-point sign. And yo, man, I'm not buying it. You guys already know. I am not buying it. I mean, to hear the Warriors commentators, I mean, like, wave bath oil over him, like he's like, I mean, the next coming. I mean, come on, man, stop it. Stop it. I was pissed off that Moses Moody came in like in the second quarter. They were down 14 in the first quarter. Moses Moody comes in the second quarter, kind of gives them a spark. Brandon should not be playing over Moses Moody. No way in hell. No. Brandon was minus 26 in the first half, plus minus. And I'm going to tell you why. You know why, y'all? Because now he's in the scouting report. That's why. Because he's in the scouting report. The OKC coaches said, you better not let that guy go out there and embarrass you. You better not. So what did they do tonight? Every time he got the ball in his hands, they pushed up on him, they pushed him left, and they made him make a basketball play. And he did okay. He's out there hustling. But this narrative, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to allow you to buy it. Listen to my program. Listen to the Dungeon Show. I'm going to tell you the truth. He should not be playing over Moses Moody. I'm not buying it. And I think that they're doing it because he has some intelligence. He has this moxie about him. But he's the antithesis of Dante DiVincenzo to me. I love Dante DiVincenzo. Always loved him in college, his pro career. Does a whole lot, doesn't say a lot. I'm just built that way. I'm not a braggadocious type of guy, but I respect people who got a lot of confidence. But you got to be that dude. He's not that guy right now. Andrew the Goat says, I think if things don't turn around for the Warriors, I think Mike will make a move at the deadline and possibly trade Thompson. Yeah, you might be right. I was thinking about that when I came on air, and I was saying, so what would it take to get Clay out of the Bay or get somebody in, like a Zach LaVine? I'm not a big Zach LaVine fan personally. I'm not. His game is too unbalanced. He's not a defensive player. He's had knee injuries. But I can see Chicago trading Zach LaVine to the Warriors for Klay Thompson, but then you got to give up a guy like a Kuminga or a Moody and a first-round pick. Maybe you can get Patrick Williams in return. But I don't even want to think about trading Klay. I don't want to think about that. I don't think that is the deal. I think you got to ride it out with him and see what happens. I think that Klay needs to go through, a process where he's doing some real hard self-evaluation. That's what I think. But if you were going to trade him, that's the conversation that you're probably going to have. Senior Football Game says, good to see you, Big Frank. Hey, man, can I give you some constructive criticism? Absolutely. And do what you want to do with it. I think that you are one of the most knowledgeable basketball minds, but your music is too loud. Well, why not just say turn the music down, Red? What's wrong with that? It's all good. How does that sound? I want you to respond back and tell me if the music is too loud or is it just right or you don't like the music. I'm going to play the music because the music defines what I want to do. And I'm coming from a hip-hop perspective. A lot of people don't get it, but I believe in it. It actually keeps the energy level up for me. So I hear the beats in the background, and it keeps me going. And I think over a period of time, it's going to be okay. It's going to catch on. But I really appreciate you speaking your piece and giving me some constructive criticism. Thank you. You should never be hesitant about doing that. Leave a comment if you think that I'm off base or I'm on a different track or something. Any and everybody out there. I mean, I welcome criticism, but know your stuff. All right. If you're going to criticize me, know what you're talking about, and don't bring the emotion part of it because I really do this. I really know what I'm talking about. Senior softball. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And your rationale, I want to be able to hear what you have to say. I dig it. Is it too loud now? Is it just right? Mark Gray says, why is Joseph getting minutes? Because he's the third string point guard. He has to get minutes now. And I actually think that Mark, he's not bad. I mean, he was a surprising signing to me because I thought that the Warriors could do better. But I have to give it up to him. He's been okay. I don't expect him to set the world on fire. He made a couple of threes last game. It would be nice if he could make a shot on a consistent basis. But I think for what they're asking him to do, based on his salary and his role on the team, Corey Joseph has been okay. I mean, to me. I don't know who else you're going to put in because Chris Paul has to come out of the game. He has to come out of the game because he's 38 years old. And, how's that, Senior? Senior says, just a tad bit too loud. I turned it down a little bit more. All right. The Warriors should trade. The Warriors should trade for Alex Caruso. I like Alex Caruso. I mean, he's never going to hurt your team. That's for sure. Andrew the Goat says, I think the Warriors should try and trade. Okay, that's what he said. I like him. I think that they need to coach their players up. And that's my concern again with how the staff is constructed. I don't know any other coaches individually, but I'm looking at the impact. Steve Kerr's not a defensive guy. He's never been a defensive guy. Warriors in the past have had designated guys that handled the defense, particularly Mike Brown. That was his job. Who is their defensive coordinator? Because I'll tell you right now, The defensive performance tonight was just god awful. And I guarantee you, as fiery as Steve Kerr is, he's giving it to guys in the locker room. Kerr is no like mal-mannered, collegial type of coach. So this guy's going to get into you, particularly if you're a young guy and you are a role player who he has invested in, and you go out there and leave guys open like that. That was terrible. That was god awful. You could miss 1,000 shots. If the person you're guarding misses 1,000 shots, the game is even. Isaiah Joe, 7 for 7 from 3. Are you kidding me? I ask you the question again. If Juan Toscano Anderson was guarding Isaiah Joe, he could have been 7 for 7? No way in hell. Windocious. Frank is keeping it real. Moses Moody is being underused. Yeah, man, I think he is. And maybe Kerr's going to see the light. He is officially the most mature 21-year-old professional athlete that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this is year 3. This is get your money year, right? His rookie year, he was kind of getting himself together. Year 2, by the end of the year, everybody thought that he should be in the rotation and playing more than he should have been playing. He should have been playing at least 15 minutes a game last year. That didn't happen. And now for him not to play at least 20 to 25 minutes a game, to me, it's just terrible. Because he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. See, I'm doing okay, man. But when you step in the show, man, I actually want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear a well thought out tape. How are you doing today? Hopefully your day went well. Andrew, I get it. But what are you going to give up, Alex Caruso? I mean, Alex Caruso is probably year 7, 8, and he's a really, really good defensive player. But the Warriors are an offensive-oriented team. The Warriors they never want to be middle of the pack in offense and really good on defense. I'm not sure Alex Caruso, based on what somebody wants in return, is going to give you the balance that you need. Again, I want to see Warrior players coached up. I want to see the Warriors go out and sign Juan. Now they'll probably sign him to a 10-day contract after the first of the year. But why? But why? You couldn't find room on the bench for Juan when now they just signed. What's the player's name for Mexico? I don't want to butcher his name. Help me out. He drafted in the 2nd round. Looked like he's grown a little bit. He was on a 2-way. He might eventually be a decent player, but he's not the smart defensive player that Juan is. They need Juan, man. That was a big mistake as far as I'm concerned in terms of personnel. Senior sophomore, you're funny. Because if I pull it down anymore, it'll be off. It's truly background music now. Brought it down just a bit more. Don't get me wrong, I like the music, the vibe. You literally couldn't hear you. Okay, I dig it. That's why I turned it way down. Thank you, brother. Was he called Bank on those 3s? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, Gardner used to play TJD more. Yeah, I mean, Jackson Davis, I like it when he's in the game, but when the game is in the balance and you got Saric going well and you got Looney, it's hard. I get it. But I'm with you. I think I would probably find a way to squeeze in a couple of minutes every game for him early to see how he's going. Because he's already an NBA defender. Already. he can defend his position arguably better than most of the big guys they have now. So I don't think he's going to hurt you defensively. I've noticed over the past couple of games, he's fumbled some passes that he should not be fumbling. So he has to build confidence with his teammates by catching the ball and making those layups and dunking the ball. But I like it, man. I mean, he's a keeper. Isaiah Joe's threes were all uncontested shots. Yeah, Mark, it's embarrassing, man. It really is. I mean, that was not professional basketball on the defensive end. Was the hustle there? Yes. Was the want-to there? Yes. But detail to assignments? Wasn't there, man. Wasn't there. You know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall listening to Kerr at the next coaches meeting, because the average fan would have no idea the amount of detail that these coaches put into these game plans. It's unbelievable the amount of detail that goes into building these game plans. And one of the things that you know when you're preparing for OKC, Isaiah Joe can shoot. That's all he can do is shoot. He was like Tim Legler. I played against Tim Legler in college. Tim Legler could shoot with the little bitty LaSalle. But you leave him open, he's knocking it down. You have to be all over that guy. And if my livelihood, part of the problem with the Warriors, and the reason why you need somebody like Juan Toscano-Anderson on your team, is because he doesn't have the big contracts, or he's not the lottery pick baby, bonus baby, who thinks that in a few years, a few months, he's going to cash in anyway. That matters when you're being coached up. It really does. When your life is on the line, I'll give you a perfect example. One of Chris Muller's best friends is Mario Elie, former Houston Rocket, 3-time NBA champion, played for the San Antonio Spurs. And I know Mario as well. Love Mario. Mario didn't make it to the NBA until he was 25 years old. Wound up playing 12 years in the NBA until he was 37. That dude would break your arm if he had to stop you. Think about this. This guy came from what was the G League back then to the start for the 2-time NBA champion Houston Rockets. Why? Because that was his mission. I'm just going to say it again. If Juan Toscano-Anderson was on this team, Warriors would be better defensively. And here's the irony. They don't need him offensively. It isn't like you go, well, you got a guy who can't play both ends. They don't need him to do that. They needed defenders tonight. They got solid efforts from Kuminga. Chris Paul played one of his best games in a while. 15 points, 8 assists. I believe it was 3 or 4 from three. Played a hell of a game. Imagine Steph Curry playing alongside Chris Paul tonight. Would have been a different game. But they still need defenders. As she said, thoughts on Kevon Looney's performance as he finished. I thought Looney was solid, man. The only issue that I have with Looney, and I keep saying this every time I come on air, his closeouts are horrible. He's too high, and he doesn't follow the principles of ball, you, man. Where's the ball, you, and where's your man? Because he turns his head all the way around and he's focused on the rim of the ball, he forgets about his man, and they throw a cross-court pass, and he's late. Most of the time, he's late on the rotation. And that's a shame because, you put some nice numbers up tonight. 11 rebounds, 13 points. made a couple of nice drives early to the basket. His defensive effort was just terrible, though. Terrible. His rotations are not good. Santos. There you go. Gabe Santos, is that his name? I think it's Gabe, right? Yeah, I mean, oh man, Gabe Santos might be a decent NBA player. He missed a shot I saw tonight. It looks like he's improved his form a little better, a little bit. And maybe over the course of X amount of games, he's going to be pretty decent. Right now, I'll take Juan Toscano-Anderson in a heartbeat over him. In a heartbeat. From a financial standpoint, it's a year-to-year proposition with Juan. And, listen, I coach Juan. Juan is one of the smartest defensive players that I've ever seen. And he's going to bring that East Bay funk with him because his life depends on it. This is his dream. I'm going to tell you how good Juan is defensively. And you might not notice this. Guy Santos? Okay, thank you. Guy Santos. Guy Santos. This is how good Juan is. And this is so detailed. It's so meticulous, this point. When the Los Angeles Lakers last year had a garage sale and they got everybody out of there, including Juan, and he went to Utah, right? Do you know that Juan was in the rotation in Utah? Literally 3 weeks after Juan got to Utah, he was playing 12 or 13 minutes a game for Coach Hardy. Coach Hardy is a Popovich clone, an analytical lifer. And he put Juan in the game. You know why? Because he understands basketball from a coaching perspective. He was like, whoa, this guy never makes a mistake. He's always in the right position. He doesn't take horrible shots. He knows how to finish. That's not something that the average person would notice. But I did because I watched basketball and I'm a coach. And I played and I was a role player. I was not a great player, although I could play on a high level. I was a role player. I understand what it takes to win on a high level. And I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to say this about some of the Warriors coaches. Listen, man, the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga could be one of the best defensive players in the NBA. I mean, he's already pretty darn good, but I'm looking for his basketball IQ to accelerate this year, offensively and defensively. That's coaching. That's not on somebody who just came to this country a couple years ago. I mean, his ascension has been pretty impressive, actually. I'm really happy where Jonathan Kuminga is in year 3. I am. I'm very comfortable with where he is right now. This dude is shooting over 75% from the free throw line. He's getting his post game together. You can't guard him one-on-one if he makes a positive play. His opportunity jump shot, his little set shot is coming together. He just needs to take good shots. So I see the horizon. I see the finish line with Jonathan Kuminga. Will he ever be an NBA starter? You would expect him to be as a lottery pick? I don't know, but I know he's going to be a player. He'll probably be a starter. Samuel, what's up? I think it's the first time I'm mentioning you. Thank you for stepping in the dungeon. I appreciate you. Trade Wiggs and Clay for Kawhi or PG. Yeah, and do you have some beach property in Anchorage, Alaska you're trying to sell too? Are you going to put some Bitcoin in the pockets of Clay, to make the trade work. A couple of Bitcoin codes up in there as well. Come on. Trade Wiggs and Clay for Kawhi or PG. That's not going to happen. But it's nice. Why is Corey Joseph playing more minutes than Looney? Corey Joseph is a point guard, right? You need somebody to handle the ball. Chris Paul can't play the whole game. And he doesn't play big man. That's why he played. I mean, hey, Samuel, Corey Joseph was okay. He was all right. Same issue versus the Cavs, too. I think you're talking about size. Well, the counter to size is proficient shooting, right? So the Warriors will always be at a disadvantage against teams that are tall. That's just a fact. That's why the Warriors struggled with Cleveland, and then they went to Sacramento and Sac whipped their tails because Sac has a dominant big guy. But if you're shooting well, you can counteract the lack of size difference that a team has. So, the Warriors have to play better perimeter defense. Their perimeter defense is god-awful, and they got to shoot better. And if they do that, they can play very successfully against teams that are taller and bigger. Andrew the GOAT says, Andrew Wiggins has finally stepped it up these last couple of games. With regards to his effort, yeah, his effort has been there. There's no doubt about that. But his efficiency has not been there. I mean, do you know how numbing it is for a coach to see somebody who is 5 for 37 shooting from 3, just lifting it from 23, 24 without a care? Andrew Wiggins has never been a good three-point shooter. He was a decent three-point shooter. If you shoot anywhere from 35% to 38%, you're decent in the NBA. To label yourself as a good three-point shooter, you got to be 40% or better. You're 40 to 45%, 46%. That's a good three-point shooter. If you're in the 30s, you're just decent. That's god-awful. But I like Wiggs' energy on the boards, defensively. He's been pretty decent. Hello, Vicky. How are you? I thought maybe you were taking the night off because the game was kind of somber if you're looking at it, from a fan's perspective. But if you want to talk basketball and talk sports, there were a lot of good things that you could take away from this. I'm mildly excited for Saturday because we don't know about Steph. If Stephen plays, I think the Warriors got a good chance to win that game. We know it's going to be a hell of a lot closer if he plays, and he's healthy. Maybe he'll come back. He's on a minutes restriction. I don't know. But if he plays, they got a good chance. Listen, watch this. Watch the Warriors' rotations on Saturday. I bet that they are a lot better than they were tonight because they're going to probably get coached up. But if you get coached up for 1 or 2 games and that focus and detail doesn't manifest itself over a long period of time, then you really haven't learned anything. That's disappointing to me. Their perimeter defense has been a sore spot. Kirk talked about their weak transition defense. That's all hustle. That has nothing to do with skill. Zero. SG says Klay Thompson might have had his worst games today as he finished with 5 points, 1 for 10, 1 for 6 from 3. And he also had 2 turnovers, and he embarrassed himself out there tonight. He's a Hall of Famer. So I'm careful how I talk about Klay in terms of what he did. I mean, I don't think he embarrassed himself. I think he didn't play well. I mean, he played well below his standards, but those are my words. I mean, these are your words. He probably felt dejected, but I think he has a lot of equity built up. But the observation that I made is just, his body is different. His body is different. And I know that when you're lighter, your stamina is better. Clay gets tired. He really does. So, things can happen for him. And then he can bounce back. I can't say I'm overly optimistic, but I haven't really seen the signs in his play that says, okay, that's a building block. I don't see that right now. This is more than a slump, it looks like to me. Samuel says, facts, Kuminga's IQ needs to get better, especially playing with CP3. Yeah, and it's just, man, it just takes time. It takes time. And you can argue in the past when people were, slamming on the walls of the Warriors building about Kuminga should be playing, I was a little less adamant about that because the Warriors were trying to position themselves for a playoff spot, and I got it. But watching him from the preseason to where he is now, I watched countless videos of him working out in the offseason. He deserves to play. He should play at least half the game, at least 25 minutes a game. And last game against Minnesota, he said he played 16 minutes. Like, what? I don't understand that. The Warriors are supposed to blow out these teams at home. It should not be letting these teams come in their building and win games like this. You know what? That would be nice, but this is the reality, Andrew. The NBA is a damn good league. It is the best league in the world. And these young teams that have been terrible for the last couple of years, they're ready for some get back. They're ready for some get back. Pesky, the general manager, knows how to evaluate talent. OKC's loaded. Can the Warriors still beat them with their veteran leadership at home? Should they win at home? Absolutely. Because the referees look at the game like theater. And they're not going to tell you this, but in some instances, they officiate the games based on the flow and emotion and many other variables that are in play during that particular time. They know when you have a bad rotation. They know when you take a shot and you're totally off balance, even though there might be some contact. They're not going to call the foul. Or when you just lazily slap at a player in the arm, even if you don't hit him, they're going to call the foul. So the Warriors got to play the game the right way. And for those, again, that think that playing the right way leans more on offense than defense, no, that's not true. And if you think just because you're playing with effort, that's good enough. Oh, they made a shot. Nah, dude. Your closeout has to be perfect. Not one time, not two times, every time. Even in this era of basketball. I'll give you another example. The Warriors beat the Houston Rockets this year. The Houston Rockets have won 5-6 games in a row. You know why? Because Ime Udoka is not going to allow players not to be accountable. They're not outscoring teams. They're stopping teams. That's all coaching. It's all coaching. And when Mike Brown was on the Warriors staff, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. They're not one of the best defensive teams in the league right now. Not even close. So we can talk about the horrific shooting, some of the turnovers. The reality is they're not losing games because of bad shooting and turnovers. They out-rebounded Minnesota and still lost. Their defense is not very good. Their attention to detail is not very good. That's why they're losing. Vicky says defense might be better if someone named Draymond is playing. Yeah, but Draymond needs to really take a step back because the officials run the game, and they can, they can make life rough for you. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Draymond fans out there, but I have to play this way to play my best. It's a year-to-year proposition, and I think he needs to modify how he plays. He's still a winning player, but talking to these young future superstars, that's not going to get it done. They don't care. Donovan Mitchell does not care. Donovan Mitchell's like, I can get anywhere on the court that I want to get to. Anthony Edwards? Anthony Edwards, to me, is the best two guard in the NBA. Someone tell me I'm wrong. Who's better than Anthony Edwards? Most talented. Now, you could go and say that he's not all that consistent. Jaylen Brown is maybe not as talented, but he is incredibly consistent. That's why Jaylen Brown got that contract. When you look at him game in and game out, you can mark it down. Dude is very, very consistent. I think Draymond just needs to not be Draymond, but some of the stuff that we've seen earlier this year, he's gonna watch, because I thought it was absurd when people were talking about suspending him for 10 games. Really? I didn't think that was gonna happen. But I tell you what, if Draymond gets involved in something else in the regular season, it'll be at least 10. At least 10. And even in that situation where I think his intentions were good, but you could have very easily wrapped your arms around Gobert's shoulders. Draymond's real strong. And kind of clamped him down and got him out of there and then let him go. Draymond Jimmy Fly snooked him. Draymond literally came off the ropes. Didn't it look kind of like it was WWF going back to box? That's what it looked like to me. Because Gobert played along. If ever they needed like a heel in a match, and I can laugh about this a little bit because he didn't get hurt. Everything's okay. But dude he was like damn near on the ground, gagging, and Draymond had his arm wrapped around his neck. He probably could have corralled him and been just as effective without his arm around his neck. Could have wrapped him around the shoulders. And I think he probably would have maybe missed one game, but certainly not 5. Thank you, Vicky. I don't feel like a total nerd now. Vicky says he went WWE. You can't do that. No, you can't. But he'll probably get another endorsement. Right? Draymond would probably get a call from the WWE. The Warriors win a championship and they need SmackDown 2000. Coming out of the stand is Draymond Green. It's not as ridiculous as it sounds based off of that. What do you think the ratings would be if Draymond came out there to support the hottest wrestler? That's $1 million payday. Sam says, what trade should the Warriors make before the deadline? I don't really see any trades right now. I'm not really thinking about that because I don't think the Warriors really know what they need because they're not playing at optimum efficiency. So I think just to kind of go, we're going to trade for somebody and have them come in here. Unless you're going to get a bona fide player, I think the Warriors should sit tight. I think they should coach their players up. I think coaching, and not Kerr, because I don't think that's his responsibility. As a staff, I see things that the Warriors should be doing, but they're not doing. Closeouts? Come on, man. Isaiah Joe, Suppose Isaiah Joe shoot 3 for 7 tonight. That's minus 12 points. And say they don't get those over 12. The Warriors are in the game. They're not going to do it, but I would have signed Juan Toscano Anderson. And I would have said, yo, go get him, Juan. Every game, I would just say, yo, you know what your job is. You know the assignment. I want to see you go out there and stop somebody every game. And Juan would have did it. Or he would have died trying. They don't have guys on their team like that. They got guys on their team that got on the perimeter, $20 million, $100 million contracts. You know, Jonathan Kuminga probably thinks he should be starting. And he feels, yo, I'm going to get paid. You need those role players. You need those role players who are not just great locker room guys, great teammates. You need that as well. But you need guys to go out there and make a difference. And more times than not, that difference is going to be made on defense. Man, Jimmy says, is this team going to be a real contender, healthy or not? Not if Klay Thompson doesn't figure it out. If Klay Thompson becomes a efficient player to the point where he's averaging 16 or 17, I think they can, because I think Steph is not going to average 30, but I think Steph is going to average 27 to 28. The inclusion of Moses Moody, I think Moses Moody can average 10 points a game. Kuminga's already averaging double figures. I think they have enough. I do. And I think at the trade deadline, there's probably somebody out there that can get them over the top. Think about this for a second. None of us thought that Dario Saric would play as well as he's playing this year. Nobody thought that he would play as well as he's playing. Chris Paul has been exactly what I expected him to be. If the Warriors, in my opinion, if the Warriors have to lean on Brandon Podzinski to be one of their premier players, they ain't going nowhere. I don't think so. You know, to me, he should not be playing more than Moses Moody. I don't think so. Not to me. And I'm hoping that he cleans up the things that he needs to clean up, i.e., footwork and quickness. People talk about Dante DiVincenzo like he's just a guy. Watch the interview with Dante DiVincenzo on Point Forward with Iguodala and the other guy with Ohio State. I can't think of his name now. But watch the Point Guard podcast with Iguodala, DiVincenzo, and the other guy. DiVincenzo, you know who Dante's best friend is? It's the point guard for the Knicks. It's Villanova teammate. Dante has a 40-inch vertical. He's not just a guy. This dude is a baller. We need somebody to fill those Dante minutes. Well, it's not that easy. Samuel says, I think Book from the Bulls. Oh, no. Vukovic is a scorer. He's a luxury item. You know, that's what he is. He's a luxury item. But he's not a defender. I'm sure Chicago would be willing to trade him if they felt they got something on return. He just signed a multi-year contract for like $60 million. You want to pay that guy $60 million over the next 3 years? I don't know if you do. He's not a bad player. But yeah, Evan Turner is his name. Thank you. I appreciate you. Great podcast. Dante DiVincenzo, Evan Turner, and Andre Iguodala. It was excellent. Now, here is where I might be looking at things a little differently. Maybe I'm from a different era. my upbringing, my coaching background as a player is different. But I just never really liked players who, well, not like. I've never been attracted to players who brought attention to themselves, which is why I was such a big fan of Chris Mullin. Tell me, Chris Mullin is one of the all-time three-point shooters in the history of the NBA. Tell me the last time that you saw Chris Mullin raise his hand for a three or bring attention to himself. I'll wait. I'll be waiting a long time because he never did it. He didn't have to do it. It's Chris Mullin. Just did his job. That's what I grew up watching. So, blame me if I'm not with the times when you get players to come in and they're a little braggadocious. I don't think you need that crap. Jordan never did that. Michael Jordan never did that. Michael Jordan talk a lot of trash to you, but Jordan was not outwardly expressive against his opponent. Unless he wanted to get at you. Yeah, Point Forward podcast with Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner. Yeah, really, really good. But maybe I'm different, and again, I don't mind players who are boastful or braggadocious when they really got the goods, But I am far more attracted to someone like a Kawhi Leonard who doesn't say anything. But when Kawhi is really in his bag and he's in his game, you can't do nothing. Everybody know it. You can't do nothing. He's going to murder you on the court. That's what I like. That's what I'm used to. Even Stephen Curry. I mean, Steph has become more and more exuberant as his career, but he's not absurd with it at all. And he's the greatest shooter the game has ever seen before. So, tough loss. I also wanted to quickly touch on, I don't know if you guys saw it on the web. There were stories out there trying to, I think, embarrass Mark Jackson, talking about how, Mark was supposedly going to broadcast some games for the Knicks, and he was banned from the plane, from the team charter. That opportunity was torpedoed, and and kind of insinuating that, well, it's that guy again. Something's wrong with him. Nobody likes him. And Mark put out a video today, and he said, listen, he said, I'm this close from literally, seemingly blowing a gasket. This guy's an ordained minister. And he goes, you can say what you want to say, but don't try to tear down my name. That's just flat out wrong. I mean, I think it's wrong, personally. And I'm speaking because I know Mark. I played with Mark Jackson. I played with Mark Jackson multiple years. Made me a better player. Great teammate. And, this national narrative, again, the media is tough. And I'm not saying that he didn't make mistakes. He did make some mistakes. But this assassination of his character, to me, is flat out wrong. I just think it's terrible. And I don't like it. Hope it's another big miss on this. I think the ESPN thing is done. They generally don't come back to you on that level. I think coaching is hopefully Mark's next opportunity, unless he is the successor to Walt Clyde Frazier when he retires, and that would be great as well. But I wish Mark Jackson was still coach. Here's the thing, man. Mark Jackson is one of the smartest basketball players I've ever played with. Stephen Curry, Clay, and the players, Draymond, they would not talk glowingly about him if it wasn't true. He made, I mean, a lot of fans don't even know what he did because it's been so long now. He took a team, the Warriors, who had not gone to the playoffs in 13 or 14 years. He coached the Warriors 3 years. 2 of the 3 years, they were in the playoffs, and they won a playoff series. Now, there's the other stuff that he allegedly was a part of, and it's not pretty. It's not. Some of the comments that were attached to him are just not pretty. You know, I wasn't there. But I'm just telling you my perspective. And even if, I would love to see him get another opportunity. I would. Some coaches get 2, 3, 4 opportunities. He has a track record of success. And then this idea, oh, well, the game has passed him by. Are you out of your mind? Does the ball still bounce? Is the floor still 94 feet? Are the rims still 10 feet? I mean, that's ridiculous. You know how rare excellent coaches are? Very rare. Now, the game does evolve. The game it doesn't change, but it certainly evolves. People evolve. But communication skills with players, I think, is one of Mark's strengths. Now, with that said, I don't care who you are. You got to get along with your boss. It doesn't matter if you're a basketball coach, if you work for Amazon, UPS, if you make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for a living. You know, if you're an artist, if you're putting records out, you're going to need people to be successful. You're going to have to work with people successfully. And I'm sure Mark knows that. So I didn't like how, you know, the media tried to come out and bash him and make him look bad. Because that's not the person that I know. I want to speak on that. And we've known each other since we were 15 years old. Quick story, our junior years, this is back in New York high school basketball. We beat his team in the regional finals to go to the state championship. And ultimately, we lost in the state championship. That was our junior year. Our senior year, we were the prohibitive favorite that won 19 games straight. And they knocked us out in the regional finals. And ultimately, they went and won the state championship, won everything at Bishop Lockton High School. I went to St. Agnes. So, memories. Do you think he needs to go to college, go coach college players? He would be successful if he did. But you know, Mark, is funny because once you coach in the NBA, I mean, that is the creme de la creme of coaching. Yeah, you got to deal with all the other stuff. Not many college coaches are making $7 to $10 million a year. That's what the NBA coaches make. I mean, look at what they just gave Monty Williams. They gave Monty Williams, what, a $60, $70, $80 million contract to coach the Detroit Pistons? Are you kidding me right now? That's a bag. Those are the types of bags that they're giving out to NBA coaches. I mean, I don't know what Steve Kerr is making. Steve Kerr got to be making $10 million a year. Maybe more than that. Look at Popovich's deal. I mean, yo, man, everybody want to get to that sweet bread. That sweet bread's in the NBA. College coaching is a little easier now with the NIL. And I think Mark would be successful from a coaching perspective, how his personal values would coincide with culture, religion, young players. I don't know. And all that stuff really matters. It does matter. It really does. Your personal views on things have to be your personal views. It's not like the olden days. When I was in high school, I went to a Catholic school. We used to pray. We said a prayer before the game started and before the third quarter started. We prayed. You know, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it brought us together. But that's not society. That's not. I certainly would not incorporate prayer in a team that I was coaching. You can't do it. I believe it's against the law. You can't do that. But because it was a Catholic school, you were able to do it. It was a different era. I don't even know if you can do it. So, but if you love coaching, you know, Mark's not 32. I think he probably feels that he could take any NBA team and turn them around relatively quickly. I believe he could. You know, I mean, I know he could. Because basketball is not real complicated. You know, it's very simple. But doing the simple things is hard to do. Think about that. Basketball is not a real sophisticated game, but it's hard to get a collective of players to do things that are simple over a long period of time. It's hard. But he could do it. He's a great leader, great communicator, and he knows the game. I also wanted to mention the efforts of the Oakland A's fans as pretty much coming to an end at this point. The owners, the MLB owners, basically showed by unanimously voting in favor of the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. They don't really care about the fans. They don't care. The Oakland A's have one of the best fan bases in all of the major leagues. The history is unbelievable. They don't care. And from a financial standpoint, it's going to work out for the owner of the A's. You know why? Because if they go to Las Vegas, they set up the infrastructure from for siphoning or for taking money from regular folks to build that ballpark, which they've already approved. If they're bleeding money, he's just going to sell it and get out. He's not a real, I don't think he's a real baseball fan. But somebody will buy it, you know, because you'll be one piece of a really, really large pie. And with television contracts, memorabilia, and betting, and so on and so forth, at some point, even if they're terrible, even if no one is really in the stands, they'll find a way to make a buck. They will. I really feel bad for the fans, though. Because the stuff that they did, all of the campaigns, the mayor of Oakland putting together little special prizes for the owners to show how much they care. You know, all those things are heartfelt. I said they would never get another dime from me. And I'm a casual baseball fan. But I knew they didn't care. I wasn't going to spend any money to go out there. No way in hell. No way. No way. So, A's fans, I got your back. Feel sorry for you. And I don't know. Become a root from afar. If you still have some allegiance to the A's and you feel that you want to go to the games, then go ahead. Go ahead. If I found my way inside of a ballpark and if I was in Vegas or something like that, then I'll go watch baseball. But from an emotional perspective, I don't have an emotional attachment to the A's. I don't. Because they don't have an emotional attachment to me. When you talk about the 49ers and their fan base, it's mutual. They love their team, and that organization really appreciates the fan base. Raider fans are so diehard, they're always going to love the silver and black. I get it. You know? The Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans, there is a symbiotic relationship there. This ownership group of the Oakland A's and the fans, do they really care about the fans? Come on. Slot machines at the concession stands. Wow. Mark, I had not even thought about that, but you know that's coming. You know that's coming. Too bad. Thank you guys and young ladies and days for checking out the program tonight. I really appreciate it. When things are not going well, I got to come on because therein lies an opportunity to really talk basketball and problem solve. I'm about problem solving. I'm not about complaining. I'm about problem solving and fixing things that can be fixed. The Warriors are down right now. They lost 5 straight games, but everything that they're dealing with is fixable. And here's the irony though. When you are starting the process of fixing something, you might be making progress, but the end result might not show it at that particular time. But the building blocks of success are in place and starting to manifest, i.e., improving your transition defense and closing out on the perimeter when you have your rotation defense. If the Warriors did those two things, they would have a chance to win some games until they got their best players back. And it'll be interesting now as a collective watching them to see if they actually do the things that we're talking about. That's what's going to be fun to watch because it's not all on the head coach. They got 19 coaches on that bench and they all have responsibilities to do certain things. And somebody's responsible for defense. Somebody's responsible for the transition defense. Shooting might be the last thing that comes back. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. Nobody wants to miss shots. Where the Warrior players can improve is by taking better shots. They're taking a lot of bad shots right now. And she's going to be the last caller tonight. Dante DiVincenzo teammates with Jalen Brunson, yes, who also played at Villanova. Yeah, man, you know what? My long-term memory is really, really good. And my short-term memory is good, but not as good as it used to be. It really isn't. A lot of times I can visualize things, but I can't get it exactly right at that particular time. You know what those people are called when you have a big-time show and they're paying you a whole lot of money? They're called producers. They're called producers. You know, you got 3-4 producers shouting the right answer to you in your ear at the same time. Watch TV a little differently now. You see people on television, they sound real smart. They always have the right answers. You're like, wow, she's really smart. He's really smart. They know everything. No, they don't. See that? You notice that little earpiece in their ear? Somebody's giving them the answers. You know? Part of the media Bible to have those producers. Those producers are really, really important. I remember, I'm not going to mention one of my producers' names because he's pretty prominent in the media now. He does an incredible job. Big time guy now. But he used to be one of my producers. And he was a phenomenal producer. And he was a great interviewer. And he would feed me questions to ask people, and I would prep, and I was pretty good at interviewing also, but I didn't always have the best question to ask at that particular time. But because I had a great producer, the interviews sounded awesome. And sometimes it wasn't because of me. It's because of producers. They have a role to play. You know, you watch 60 Minutes, you think that the people out front are so great? No, it's a team. says, thanks, Frank, for keeping it real. It's the only way I know how to do it. Vicky, the only way that I can be worthy of your time and others' time is to be as honest and as forthright as I can possibly be. Right? So, thank you. I owe it to people who support me. And I owe it to myself, to be honest, and to be who I am. Then I don't have to think about it. I don't have to kind of, well, did I say this or did I say that? No, I tell the truth as I see it. All right. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna get out of here. I want to thank y'all for checking out the Introduction program tonight. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right. Till the next time. Definitely we'll do a show on Sunday. Maybe we'll sneak in one even before that. I'm not quite sure. But everybody be safe. Have a wonderful tomorrow. And I'll talk to you in the near future. All right? Good night, everybody. Peace.